Hey, it's Thursday. I made it. Whew. It's raining like heck outside, or I should say it's been raining for a couple days. Lots of wetness right now. Yucky out there. Anyway, I hope y'all are doing well. God bless you. Phew. Let's see. Okay, let me send a message out here, a howdy message. Wow, where am I at here? Let me get my windows straight, huh? Pretty easy what the top stories are. Even though they're kind of woven in with the silliness that we got going on. Mm. Ah. Mm. Yeah. Anyway, wow. Red Sea turns hot. That's of course, that was going to happen with the Yemenis and the Houthis um, and Saudi Arabia battling back and forth in the Red Sea. It's not like we haven't had that shut down before. It was causing all the tankers and everybody to go down around the Horn of Africa. That kind of pissed a lot of people off, I think. It cost a lot of people money. Wasn't that what it is about? The money? Yeah, the money and the honey. Let's see. I better check these settings because, yeah, I changed these settings over here on Rev Radio. These speaker volume settings and stuff. Woo. So anyway, I hope y'all are doing well. God bless you. We still got a few minutes, about a minute, maybe minute and 8 seconds. Wow. Yeah, a minute and 8 seconds on till we get Rev Radio. Woo. So yeah, lots of stuff going on. Trump deciding that he may invade a couple more countries, gonna start a couple more wars. Just saying. Yeah. The ass blaster disease, the poodemic, as they're calling it now. More news and information on that as well. The FDA. I just can't find my parasite now. These people are fucking stupid. So stupid. Yeah, it's unreal. Hey, hopes I'm 10 seconds early over there on Rev Radio. Okay. All right. Yeehaw. Good morning. It's time for the Revolution in the Morning show. Live from Franklin County, Virginia. I'm your host, Mitchell Bupp. Well, where do you want to start the news out today? Because there's a variety of it, okay? Federal labs have confirmed 4,173 cases and are sitting on another 7,400 ass blaster pandemic cases. Oh my. How many people did they murder with the mRNA COVID clot shots? How many people did Dr. Fauci murder, manslaughter? Did he unalive? I mean, Dr. Fauci today is probably, I would say right now, the biggest mass murderer alive on this planet. That's how serious this shit really is. And they got they got some retard that's supposed to be going up for some appointment. Okay. And she says, she will follow the science, and she believes that mRNA is safe and effective. I mean, can you believe that fucking shit? Okay, after we already know that mRNA and the contamination within any of that genome or with any of that causes can cause turbo cancers, can cause other multiple side effects of this so-called safe and effective mRNA. Always remember, when the government says safe and effective, they're calculating an 8 to what percentage fucking people that are allergic to it, okay, that have a reaction to it. The so-called immunity for, the pharmaceutical fuckers, the pharmaceutical companies, in their own testimony, they said, look, everybody is different. And this isn't me. I just, everybody should go look this fucking shit up, okay? They said, oh, yeah, well, everybody is different. Everybody has different immune system. Everybody has been exposed to different stuff before, so predisposed or predisposition of some, whether it's a viral, bacterial, or chemical agent, and then what happens to somebody's body after those, how should we say it, exposures, okay? Let's be honest right now, the people that got the clot shot, it is a statistical fact. I've read it several places. I can't, I haven't sat down and cranked the numbers, I'll be honest with you. But there's a belief that the more shots you get, those COVID mRNA clot shots, the more you get, the more cancers and turbo cancers you end up with. Okay. So yeah, I mean, yeah, this CDC director confirmation hearing, unmitigated dumpster fire. Yeah, I believe that. This was originally published in Armageddon Prose. 75% Americans suffering from chronic health conditions per CDC's own data, almost none of which have anything to do with infectious diseases. 90% of the questions from Congress pertain to vaccines. They really aren't talking about literally the toxicity of the water across this nation in public water supplies. And I say toxicity, and I include fluoride in that toxic group. Okay? That's myself. But CDC director nominee Erica Schwartz. Oh, it's a Schwartz. Okay. She says she will leave no mRNA behind. No. She says she trusts and believes the science.
Dr. Schwartz, do you believe that mRNA vaccines, including the COVID-19 vaccine, are safe and effective?
Senator, thank you for meeting with me earlier. I do appreciate that. I will say for the record, you do have the most beautiful office in the Senate. That being said, I do believe that mRNA...
You're all welcome over afterwards, yeah.
I do believe that mRNA technology is safe and effective.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Of course it's not. We know it's not. We know it's not safe, and we know it's not effective. We know that it is a novel, this is novel science, newer science that has yet to really crack the genome to safely do this shit. All right. Don't forget, old man Dammy up there in New York said that he would pop your cherry, that he would take away that virginity of rugged individualism. That sounds like some homo inside talk. I'm sorry, I'm wrong. Okay, excuse me. Hey, you make up your own mind and then decide later what little Satan in New York is up to, because I don't think it's any good anywhere, if that makes any sense. Okay. So, yeah, it is sheer crazy. Remember, the revolving door going on in Washington, D.C. Just because Donald Trump is there doesn't mean that it's still not spinning like a fucking helicopter. It only means that it's slowed down to subsonic speeds. Yeah. So you hear wop, wop, wop instead of wah, wah, wah. Yeah. What the fuck is wrong with people? Can you tell me? Can you tell me what the fuck is wrong with people? I mean, I wish I knew. I wish I could. Meanwhile, former Attorney General William Barr was spotted on Capitol Hill. He didn't have much to say to the media. I mean, really, he kind of blew them off. So yeah, Bill Barr in on Capitol Hill. Truth is that fuck right there should be indicted. That's right. I mean, I'm sorry. He's a deep stater. And while, he claimed there was no credible evidence, however, what we see and what we know happened in Georgia, what we see and what we know happened in Michigan and Wisconsin, what we see and what we know happened in where? Arizona. Oh, what we see and what we know happened in what? Nevada. And, what we see and know we happened in New Jersey. Yeah, we'll get to New Jersey next.
That was former Attorney General Bill Barr. You'll remember he served in the first Trump administration. I spotted him right outside the Capitol on the Senate side of the building. He didn't want to tell me why he was up on Capitol Hill. And as you just saw, he also didn't want to comment on President Trump's recent speech about election integrity. It was a brief interaction, but take a look at the full exchange.
Mr. Attorney General, any reason you're up here today? Taking some meetings? Any thoughts on President Trump's recent comments about election integrity?
Yeah, please. Get the camera out of my face, would you?
Remember, Bill Barr resigned from the Trump administration in December 2020. It was at the height of the efforts to overturn the 2020 election. After that election,
I remember Bill Barr said, "There was nothing to see here. Please move on." Yeah, always remember that, him and that Bill Barr was actually Herbert Walker Bush's attorney general, the CIA president. Man, I am telling you. He's another one of them fat fucks that was sucking off the system long before the first rapist, William Jefferson Clinton, got his fat ass in office, okay? In fact, he helped cover up Iran-Contra and all of the other drug running that was going on during that time by the NSA, by, the United States government, okay? I mean, do you really trust any of these motherfuckers? God, I hope not. Ooh, I hope not, man. I am telling you. Let's see. Where should we start? I don't even know. Okay, I guess we'll start over here on this other side. Let's see. Of course, the war in Iran. Donald Trump is Donald Trump at this point. I mean, I'm serious. Donald Trump. Okay. How do we know he's Donald Trump? Do you know his great ally, Israel, has said, well, we're going to sit this one out. After the last number of missiles went to Israel, Israel didn't use any of their missiles. They all used the U.S. Patriot missiles. And of course, when the U.S. was started to attack Iran, Israel did their own bombing operations in and around Iran. Okay, that's the truth that nobody wants to say. Okay, and that the U.S. is, well, kind of doing its own thing, and Israel says, well, that's okay, man. This round of bombings and stuff, but we're gonna sit this one out. Isn't that like an ally giving you the big finger, right? So the Houthis, meanwhile, have a tanker burning, at least one tanker burning in the Red Sea. Two Saudi tankers overnight. So yeah, I mean that's what you got going on here. Okay, so two attacks in the Red Sea. There have been 5 attacks in the last 10 days in the Straits of Hormuz. The Straits of Hormuz is down to a zilch, down to 0. Now, if you feel lucky, if you feel really lucky, there are headhunters out there here looking for longshoremen and what do they call those guys that work on the ships? The crew. Damn it, I forget. There are people. There are hotshot headhunters out here looking for crew members. So if you have a merchant marine experience, that's what I'm thinking of. If you have merchant marine experience, you can make 6 months of pay for making one trip that's going to take about 30 days. Okay. Now that trip is starts, I guess, outside the Hormuz Straits, goes in, and then comes back out. Okay, and it's only supposed to be like a month of sea time. Okay, and sea travel in it. Um, and for that, they will pay you 6 months worth of wages. Okay, to man and crew a tanker or some other ship that is going to run the Iranian blockade. Okay, I'm just saying that the opportunity is there. Just like Iraq. Okay, there were opportunities for contractors, truck drivers, and other stuff. And that's how Steve got blown up. Yeah, my friend Steve Fisher. Yeah. Good thing I had been busted selling weed. I'd have been right there, man. I would have. I'd have been right there driving a fucking truck full of fucking fuel in Iraq war zone. Yeah, that wouldn't have worked out too well. But poor Steve died there. I think he shot 7 times, along with his, being truck blown up. But anyway, so it's the high risk jobs there if you want them. I imagine. I imagine that at this point there might be truck driving jobs that you can drive a Saudi oil or some other oil and drive it across the desert and to essentially have a truck convoy, 500 trucks long, 1,000 gallons or whatever barrels, I don't know, a truck, however much holds. But anyway, I'm just saying, um, this is all about economic war. In the end, this is all oil and economic wars. Okay, it's about maintaining. Part about it's maintaining the petrodollar, and it is a stupid plan, if you ask me. But that's me. Okay, I'm not trying to control the world, like these clowns are that run the U.S. petrodollar and the petrocurrency. Um, there's also the fact that the U.S. is now or going to station um, uh, a tanker fleet in Bulgaria. Maybe that's the ones they're getting a bunch of crap about. That's down in Israel. Okay, but Iran has sent a diplomatic message to Bulgaria that pretty much said, look, if you decide to host those American refueling jets, we just wanted to tell you, we are going to consider that a target. Just saying. Okay. So, as you may not realize, but war escalating literally around the world, and drone warfare um, is wow. There has been Russia has a company that's similar to Amazon. It's called Wildberries. Well, they're just like Amazon. They have these massive warehouses that are like half a mile long. Big ass buildings. And what happens is when one building catches fire, hey, guess what? Everything in it burns up. So Ukraine has been, because a lot of these places, remember, everything is a soft target. Now, I'll be honest with you. I don't quite understand the strategy that the Russians have been using. But uh, anyway, also, if you're not aware, uh, um, there is an ongoing thing where Germany is going to essentially host and have operational control, according to what is being said, of nuclear weapons. Now they're going to be in conjunction with the French, okay? But the French and the Germans literally setting up, a nuclear missile base and in Germany. um, you know, uh, that's that's not going to end well. That's all I'm saying. Okay, that's just not going to go down real well in the end. Okay, so Russia, Lavrov has said, you guys are really thinking about what you're doing, and you're literally giving these Nazis, these former Nazis, nuclear, you're going to station nuclear weapons and put them under their operational control. Russia has looked at them and said, have y'all lost your fucking mind? Pretty much. Meanwhile, Donald Trump is standing up front and saying, yay, 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 nukes for Saudi Arabia. I mean, no, nuclear power for Saudi Arabia. Duh. No screaming eagle shit, okay? That's all I'm saying. I mean, if you have all the oil, and half the oil in the world and natural gas and shit, why do you need nuclear power? Okay. Now, I don't know if Donald Trump, I'm sure he doesn't even know. I'm sure he doesn't remember. I'm sure he doesn't have a fucking clue, and his CIA isn't really going to give him a reach around at this point. I mean, yeah, really. So the truth is that Pakistan has already promised, has already essentially sold nuclear weapons to Saudi Arabia. It's 30 or 50 billion dollars. It was paid a couple of years ago. It was during the first dumbass Trump administration, where Jared Kushner and some of these other motherfuckers, just they're trying to bring nuclear power to Saudi Arabia. I mean, these people are out of their ever loving fucking minds. Hey, I know. Why don't we just give the African motherfuckers nuclear power? Yeah. I mean, I believe that Gambia and Nigeria and all these other places, I believe that they should have small modular reactors. That way they can have 40, 50, 100 of them around their different fucking African retarded countries. I mean, really? That's the same thing as giving them the fucking goat herder fuckers that are still worshiping a rock in the fucking desert. I mean, really? Oh gosh, I guess everybody finds out. Everybody finds out when they die. Then you say, "Fuck, I miscalculated. I was wrong. Better send a Hail Mary. God bless me. Please help me." If you don't believe. I know people that that have looked at me and said, "Shouldn't you pray for for forgiveness?" And they said, "Why? I haven't done anything wrong." Oh, God bless them, man. I am telling you, how could somebody be so blind, really blind in their soul? But anyway, hey, there's lots of them around the world. Okay. Secret Service official sounds the alarm. The threat environment is the highest ever as assassination attempts and theories and everything else explode. Briefing came ahead of Friday's rescheduled White House Correspondents' Dinner at the Waldorf Astoria. Of course, as everybody's thinking, hey, can we try again? Can the White House correspondents, can the reporters inadvertently again be the story? Some of them standing up there, get him, get him, get him. They know who they were talking about, in all honesty. But yeah, I'm just saying, the fucking people are stupid. Trump suggests he may start bombing Yemen again and bombing the Houthis and their missiles sites. Yeah. Well, good luck with that, I guess. Also, Trump has said, yeah, we may send troops to Mali. That's right, Mali. I've talked about that before. That the how should I say it? That the number of Christians that have been slaughtered in Mali. Okay, West African country, basically. That is in the middle of an Islamic takeover. Is the best way to describe it. Okay, I don't. It's becoming essentially the biggest tribe, if that makes any sense. because always remember these countries are tribal, and I'm sure there's numerous tribes in these areas, and they're all getting swallowed and eaten up, by Muslims. So it's the eighth largest country in Africa, the 23rd largest country in the world. So, I would hope that we would be having that we will be having some more intelligence, on the ground over there. We could probably put cell phone simulators up and literally, suck in all the digital traffic. The only question is, can you get into the backdoor stuff? But anyway, yeah, it's crazy. Mali is just wow. It's just what 100,000 people murdered in the last year. Yeah, remember, is Islam equates to death and slavery. That's what I'll say. Okay, and it comes to wonder what the fuck is wrong with people. Listen, all you gay folk out there, okay, all you lesbos, all you people that munch out at the wrong bar, all right, all you people that are using the exit, as a as the indoor, all right. Listen, we in America, Christians, we pray for you. But we don't, as long as you're not trying to sexualize and groom the children, we don't care what bunghole you're bungling in whose bedroom where. Most people, white most Christians don't. Okay, they may judge you, yeah, but that's part of freedom, isn't it? I think this last cruise, that this LGBT gay cruise that was denied, they wouldn't let it hit the ground in Turkey. They wouldn't they wouldn't let it land in Egypt, I don't think either. Okay, because they're Muslim countries. And when is this farcical, um, y- you know um, self-flatulate, self-whipping thing that that the gay and lesbian community is doing, so they can have Muslims as their fellow minority supporters, when literally the Muslims will just put them to death afterwards. I don't understand. It's just like feminists and for women's rights that fall in with what, with the fucking Muslims that are marrying their children off at 9 years old. No, if you marry your daughter off for property and she's under the age of 10, I don't think you should be fucking breathing. I don't think, maybe the best thing we could do is, to completely castrate your fucking ass, okay? I mean, what the fuck is wrong with people? They stand for a certain set of principles. And then when it comes to a certain group of people, it's just like with fucking Israel and the genocide in Israel. It's no different than the genocide that that the Arabs and the Muslims talk about against the Jews and the Christians and everybody else. There are both all sides of that evil, as I would call it. Okay, the uncivilized parts of the world there in the Middle East. It's it's madness. It's madness how all these good people, whether they're fucking Christians in America, throw all their morals out to support some fucking slaughter of people in Gaza Strip. Ain't no different than the retarded college kids supporting fucking Palestine not having a clue and really understanding about the real political war and the religious context of the two groups of people in the Middle East, Muslims and Jews, that believe that they are superior, not just between themselves, but over you too. And yeah, it just boggles my mind how people can compartmentalize what fucking Islam has done, what fucking Judaism has done, what Zionism has done. And truth is, in reaction to what, Christianity has done in some places. That's just the truth. That's why I said, right now, Donald Trump is fucked. he's fucked so hard. I think he's gonna need glasses to get his eyes uncrossed. But Bill O'Reilly says, Don, brother, Don, hey man, can you take August off? Really, really, we just need you to chill the fuck out. Can you take August off? That's a Bill O'Reilly. It's like, what the fuck? You got an upcoming election, 90 days. Well, let's see, what, 90 days from the end of August, basically. And he said, well, can you take it? Can you slow down? Can you just shut up? I mean, really, hey, can you take some more advice from Mike Pence? I'll just say, yeah. Anyway, what else we got going on here? The UK government. The UK government is blocking a report, a crime report. Statistics of crimes committed by, that's right, migrants, of invaders. I'll just call them Muslim and Islamic invaders at this point, okay? Because, if you don't realize, if you don't want to call it what it fucking is, then that's your own fucking stupidity, okay? You should be brave enough in this world to be able to call a spade, okay? You should be brave enough in this world to call a cracker a fucking cracker, okay? We should be brave enough in this world. We should have enough self-respect of ourselves. But when it comes to government, most people abandon that. So the British government is in courts to stop the public from seeing a full picture of the migrant crime rates. After Information Commissioner ordered the Ministry of Justice to release the nationally linked conviction data from 2018 to 2024, officials have launched an appeal, claiming it risks identifying offenders and costs too much. Oh God, people that have committed fucking crimes are afraid to be identified. Oh my, no, they're not. You know what they're afraid of? They're afraid of when this truth comes out and they see the real statistics of sexual assault and attempted rape. When they see the real statistics, not the 250,000 lowball number of young British girls that were raped, sodomized, and used and abused by Pakistanis, Afghanis, and well, it's a Muslim gang rape. I'll just call it what the fuck it is, okay? All of those motherfuckers should be sent directly back home. I don't care if they were born in the UK. If they were born in the UK, then they should be executed. People that rape at a standard of their religion, how can you really allow that religion into your fucking country? That's what I would say. How could you allow a fucking religion? Oh God, yeah. It'd be like, oh yeah, we got a bunch of fucking cannibals, and we got a bunch of Satanist motherfuckers, and they're gonna get together for a big rally in the UK. I bet they could go down there. I bet they could go out there in the fucking woodland somewhere and find themselves some cauldrons and eat some fucking people. I'm sure there's a bunch of people that could come up missing and they would never know. And all you would find would be the leftover stew bowls from between the satanic rituals, slaughter rituals, and to the cannibals, saying, hey, don't throw that arm out. What the hell's wrong with you? There's a lot of good meat left on that elbow. I mean, really, if Muslims can essentially rape at will young British girls and sexually assault them, then it makes perfect sense that cannibals and people that practice witchcraft and human sacrifice could actually be, protected by government at this point in the UK. I'm just pointing out the fucking how ludicrous it really is. Okay, here's a reporter that's been trying to investigate it, but he gets stonewalled.
It's actually been going on for longer than that, so I think it's probably senior civil servants blocking it, because the Centre of Migration Control have, since last June, been trying to get hold of data showing crime by type of offence and by nationality, because I think we all know intuitively and by what's reported in the news that certain nationalities are overrepresented in certain crimes.
Really?
And yet, for some reason, the government doesn't want us to see the real data.
I mean, they say that the cost of providing the information would be disproportionate. Some of the data could lead to breaches of right to privacy because people's details could be put out there. Do you buy that?
I don't at all. And they've chopped and changed. So initially, when the first Freedom of Information request went in, they said, "Oh, this would be a breach of data protection. It would reveal people's identity." Of course, it won't. No one's asking for individual details of offences and offenders. It's offence type in broad categories, as sort of sexual offences, theft offences, violence against the person, and the person's nationality. That's it. So it's a spurious argument. And then when they realised they were losing on that, they suddenly said it'll be too expensive. But if cost was a real concern, well, frankly, they're about to spend a lot more money defending this case than they were just handing over the data. They don't want us to know, and that's the issue.
So this isn't an issue to do with David Lammy as Justice Secretary. This has been successive governments not wanting to release this information, presumably because they worry it might make people angry?
Yeah, I think the only real reason I can imagine they want to hold on to this data is because they know
might make people angry. Oh, no shit, bitch. Jesus, God bless you, dumb motherfuckers, okay? Let's be honest, but also there's another component here, okay? There really is, because if you're paying attention here in the United States of America, you should be paying attention, okay? Because today we have the same fucking horse shit going on here as we do over there, where, you'll look at somebody's mug shot and they'll be a deep, rich brown, but they'll be identified as white. Okay. This mischaracterization of race and probably religion and all of these other metrics that really would make crime statistics accurate is fucking, it's just whatever the officer feels like putting there at the time. I really believe that at this point.
Sterling work has exposed some unpleasant truths about the propensity to commit crime if you're an Afghan 22 times more likely, for example, to be a sex criminal as opposed to the British public. And yet, David Lammy, in one of his final acts yesterday, tried to clamp down on this. What have they got to hide?
And I think that will be the question many people are asking themselves when they hear that their own government is now going to the courts to effectively launch an attack on transparency and accountability. And we, of course, have seen this before with the Labour Party when it comes to
well, that is government attacking y'all, so you don't have your rights. Well, there comes a time when they're going to have 1776 in the UK, where the British people are going to have to rise up and throw the fucking king into the fucking Thames River and throw the fucking parliament out the fucking door. Then it starts to the, how would we say, taking a Britain back from the Islamic hordes and instituting British culture and British law. You may not like that truth, but that's exactly what has to happen.
Why do you think they are pushing to essentially cover this up?
Well, I think it's quite simple. Basically, if they publish this, they'd have to do something about it, and they really don't want to do anything about it. You mentioned some of the statistics there. I think that slightly underdoes it. If I can very quickly, Afghan nationals commit sex crimes at 20 times the rate of the domestic population. Sudanese, 24.
Holy shit. 20 times? 24 times the amount of fucking that Brits do, indigenous Brits do, and they're bringing these fucking bastards into their country, and you wonder why. I say they've lost their ever-loving fucking mind.
Times there are 87 nations who commit sex crimes at a higher rate than the domestic population. A quarter of all sex offences, convictions between 21 and 23 were migrants. And as you mentioned, there are over 100,000 migrant convictions between 21 and 23. Broadly, this is a completely optional wave of violence and crime on our street that we have simply opted into. And publishing data about it, they'd have to do something about it. And you can see with their attitude.
Yeah, that's the thing. If you see it, you can't unsee it. If you announce it in a government fucking plot on a government paper, people are going to read it. Then you're going to have to do something about it. So, yeah, it's crazy. It's idiocracy. It's stupid on steroids. Convicted illegal immigrant murderer has sued Donald Trump. That's right. He has sued Donald Trump over emotional distress. Imagine that. Brandon Kreitzveit, a Mexican national who is living illegally in the United States, was convicted of the 2024 murder of his girlfriend, Ruby Garcia, in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Instead of being executed, cremated, and sent back to fucking Mexico in a box, he pled guilty to second-degree murder, carjacking, and carrying a concealed weapon and felony firearm. He shot Garcia multiple times, including a shot to the head after she was already wounded. Dumped her body on the side of US 131 and later turned himself in. He received he was sentenced to a minimum of 39 years, a potential sentence to reach 100. The migrant killer had already received substantial news coverage from the media that led up to his trial, but evidently his DACA status expired in 2019. Was deported by the Trump administration in 2020 after prior arrest, but re-entered the U.S. illegally when Biden took office. The case highlights, Trump highlighted it in his campaign ads in 2024, okay? He's saying that his mugshot and other details, were publicized by Trump and embarrassed and caused emotional distress. And I really don't give a fuck. Emotional distress, my ass. Can we put him in there with somebody that likes young Mexican boys to rape? I would give him some emotional distress to think about. But man, I am telling you, murderers, life for life, particularly if it's, aggravated murder like this shit. And then the plea bargain down to whatever. I mean, give me a fucking break, okay? So anyway, it's idiocracy. This guy has sued Donald Trump for a $75 million. Well, imagine that. Good luck, Chuck. I don't think you're going to get jack shit, okay? In all honesty, all right? What else we got going on here? Let's see. Bump. Creep state within the deep state, a creepy state. Yeah, our government's fucking a bunch of perverted bastards. We know that. You know that. I know that. It's just many people are in denial.
On it in 2014. 2017, it expired. That was in the first Trump administration. So there's gain of function research. If that is such an important research that it must be done, and if it's so serious and so dangerous, why in the world are we doing it with China? Why don't we do it just ourselves or here in America if it can be done safely, or at least with a nation that we have a friendlier relationship with than with China? Why are we doing it in China?
Truly insane. But this is.
I'll say it real quick. 2 words: operational deniability. How's that sound? I think that's why.
It's not a new debate. It started at least back in 2010, if not before. First thing they did is they discovered the Spanish flu in a soldier who died in World War I, and they resurrected it. That should have scared us and did scare us. But then in 2010, they took the avian flu. The avian flu is about 50% deadly in humans, but it doesn't go human to human because it's an animal virus. It hasn't adapted to humans. Well, somebody with an NIH grant approved by Anthony Fauci discovered how to make 8 mutations and make it contagious through the air between mammals. A terrible, rotten idea that won't lead to a vaccine. It just leads to the potential danger of it being released into the public. Anthony Fauci's conclusion: that even if a pandemic should occur, a scientist should be bitten or it escapes into the lab and into the public, even if a pandemic should occur, the knowledge is worth the risk. This is the hubris. This is the arrogance of a man who said he was a science, and it's probably one of the worst decisions ever made in the history of modern medicine to say, oh, well, the risks of a pandemic are worth the knowledge. Nothing's ever been, we have never discovered a vaccine. We've never discovered any kind of treatment from gain of function. Gain of function massages or advances the evolution of viruses to make them more contagious in human cells. It's a terrible idea. You could do it 10, 20 times. You run these viruses through animal models that have human cells, and you adapt it to humans. You do what nature might do, but probably won't do, and you do it in a matter of months.
Yeah, and it is essentially this fast forward gene mutation or gene evolution, genetic evolution of these viruses. And, it's the same thing they want to do with AI in a lot of cases. I'm not saying in all cases, because I really think they want AI so they can control you and I and everybody else. But these diseases and these models, okay, there's a reason. Like I said, basically plausible deniability, okay, operational deniability, and we can blame it on the Chinese. And if it had turned hot and they'd have lost it, here's the thing: if they'd have lost the narrative of and then they could blame it on China real quick, okay. That's what it all boiled down to. That way it's their enemy, and they, of course, they're going to lie, and it's going to be ambiguity, questions in the minds of people about even though the National Institutes of Health and Dr. Fauci, had patented the chimera in 2019. So was it 2018? Was it 2018 or 2019? I don't know. It was before the pandemic. So yeah. So they created a chimera. They took it to China. They gave it to China maybe because they knew that China was essentially such a fucked up operational wise leakage, that things were leaking and people were getting sick already in the Wuhan Institute of Virology. Anyway, so that it was easily operational deniability. So, they lost operational control as soon as they sent it to China. And then it was just hit and miss. I still do believe there were, I guess you would call it espionage, efforts to literally to spread the disease. I really do believe that that it just wasn't spread by accident. In these Chinese bio labs, in California, in Nevada. I'm sure there are other places. You got fucking these retarded scientists, that's they should know better than to transport, infectious diseases, that are highly infectious, that have high mortality rate. So yeah, it's you would think they would know, but hey, they're smarter than God. These fucking scientists. That's what the ends up being. They're smarter than God. Hey, we'll be right back on Rev Radio. I'll continue ranting over here on Rumble, YouTube, Facebook, and locals. So come on over and join us. I hope you all are doing well. Yeah. Anyway, here is a wacko world that we're living in. Google hit with a $1 billion fine for abusing power in Europe. When they say power, do they mean their political power, anti-competitive business practice power? Okay, market power. Yeah. Big companies are gonna become big, and they want to dominate, and they're gonna dominate. You aren't going to be able to. I don't think you're going to be able to really stop it. But hey, that's me. Okay. I liked this the other day. John Stossel. John Stossel did a little expose on Matt Taibbi's article the other day about how fucked we really are. We're doomed, he said.
We asked Taibbi, and our leaders are insane. That's the title of a column by Matt Taibbi.
Our leaders are insane.
We asked Taibbi for an interview, but he didn't respond. Still, the issues he raises deserve more debate, so I made this video based largely on his column.
We need to clean house of all of the warmongers.
Not one of our presidents, writes Taibbi, least of all this lunatic, can resist starting wars. When the Soviet Union fell, Bill Clinton said,
"The Cold War is over. We must secure the peace."
A few years later,
today our armed forces joined our NATO allies in airstrikes against Serbian forces. By acting now, we are advancing the cause of peace.
Bombing doesn't always advance peace.
NATO today admitted and apologized for hitting houses in the southern Serbian town. 20 people, including children, were killed.
George W. Bush was elected after saying, "America will not be the world's policeman."
I'm not so sure the role of the United States is to go around the world and say this is the way it's got to be.
Operation Iraqi Freedom.
Then Bush became history's all-time world policeman.
Bush claims he must disarm Iraqi dictator Saddam Hussein of weapons of mass destruction and depose a brutal regime supporting global terror.
By the next election, the wars were done. The moment he came down that escalator, he seemed different.
Our goal is peace and prosperity, not war and destruction.
He started no wars during his first term, and when he ran again, he repeatedly said,
Under Trump, we will have no more wars, no more wars, no more wars.
But look what's happened since.
The breaking news this morning, President Trump says the U.S. carried out large-scale strikes on Venezuela.
Major combat operations in Iran. Bombs will be dropping everywhere.
Taibbi concludes by pointing out, we're an empire about to pour our vanishing treasure into a $1.5 trillion defense budget that's got eyes on Venezuela, Iran, Cuba, Greenland, Colombia. I focus on economics. I know little about diplomacy and foreign affairs. But what I have learned is that our politicians' grand plans rarely achieve their stated goals.
The forces of Germany have surrendered.
Since World War II, America's launched military interventions in Korea, Vietnam, Greece, Cuba, Cambodia, Lebanon, Libya, Iraq, Somalia, Haiti, Bosnia, Afghanistan, Syria, Yemen, Iran. Our intentions are good, but often the results are not. I think George Washington had this right. In his farewell address, he said, "Why quit our own to stand upon foreign ground?"
Yeah, I mean, really. There's a little more to that. You can check Stossel TV out. He's kind of out there on his own, independent now, still doing the good work journalists should. We're getting ready to kind of head back on Rev Radio here in 30 seconds or a minute. I'm not 100% sure oh yeah, here it is, 35 seconds. Okay. All right, so stand on by. We got second half of the show, and don't forget tomorrow is Crazy Ass Fridays. So yeah. Oh God, and when I'm in my younger days, I used to love to eat my fast food. I ain't gonna lie. I love Burger King Whoppers. Okay. I mean, just something, just charcoal, I guess it's got the sauce and everything on it. And I was like, man, that's some good shit. I used to think that. Hey, welcome back, Rev Radio. Get ready, because at least Rev Radio isn't going to see the visuals. Maybe they will still decide to eat at Burger King. Welcome back. Yeah, talk about how fucked up your food is, man. I ran across this the other day. I said, oh my God. I'm really glad that I don't eat a lot of burger fast foods and stuff like that. I eat some Kentucky Fried Chicken, and that's probably bad enough, okay? And I don't even go to the Chinese restaurant anymore. That's right, because I always run for the whatevers. But, hey, have you ever wondered about that Burger King Whopper? Well, they have released the ingredients. 120 ingredients found in that Burger King Whopper.
20 ingredients in a single sandwich. After years of denial, Burger King has quietly released their ingredient list, and it's causing outrage. With the same silicone from Silly Putty seared into every burger.
Burger King didn't just cram 100 ingredients. They hit something worse. Every sandwich starts as grisly rib scraps, thrashed in a vacuum tumbler until every fiber is torn, then injected with the same binder used in laundry detergent, ballooning into a soggy pink log. That dripping flesh is then crammed into wet batter, spiked with pyrophosphate, the same acid used to strip rust, scorched in Silly Putty oil, and stuffed into a 30-chemical bun. A single order flagged 5 phosphate additives linked to vascular calcification.
120 ingredients in a...
Yep, there you go, okay? 120 ingredients in your Whopper. I guess that what makes it a Whopper. Okay, 30 ingredients in the bun alone. In the bun, really? I mean, how much shit you got to put in the bun? Um, it's, let's just let's just say it's not too good. I can imagine, what their breakfast patties and what their, because, often when I go through, once in a while I'll stop at Chick-fil-A or I'll stop at, what's that other place called? Bojangles. And, Bojangles is probably another one of those places that has, 50, 11,000 fucking ingredients in everything that they got. Sad, sad state of affairs, man. I am telling you. Bump, bump. Peptides. That's right. You ever heard of them? Yeah, that's a kind of a fad right now with health people and using peptides in all kinds of different ways. And agency scientists at the Food and Drug Administration are advising against allowing the widespread use of several peptide injections. Health Secretary RFK Jr. said people should be free to experiment. Yeah. Did they say that about all the drugs? If they say that about all the drugs, then why are they illegal? If you're free to experiment. Yeah, I think you should be free to treat yourself as you wish, I guess. Even if you end up looking like dead and dumb, okay? Which I know somebody that did. And I feel really bad because I should have asserted authority earlier. No, I'm sorry. I just still believe that that person has the right to live as they choose all the way up to whenever they, kill themselves because of neglect, because of being stupid, because of, even though, people know and you tell people it doesn't mean that people will do what is right and what should be done. I mean, that's just the truth of the world that we exist in. So, it's tough. But then again, here's the problem. You have social media memes. I mean, what are we going to say? Yeah, well, you can take that Tide Pod just as you can take your peptides. Okay, you can bring that steroid to the gym and give yourself a jab. As you work out, you can get your testosterones or your what did I see that ad for Blue Brew or Blue whatever Chew? I think it's Blue Chew. I guess it's like a Viagra medicine. Okay, so you see all of these things blasted all over social media, and you really have to. It really is buyer beware out there today. And if you're not aware and if you don't think about some of the stuff you do, yeah. Let's see. There's seems to be a fingerprint on RFK Jr. on this committee. And my impression, Paul Knopfler, a University California Davis biologist, studies FDA proven oversight of unproven treatments. To me, the makeup of this committee seems striking. Okay. Was that one of those guys that said if you question, if you question mRNA vaccines, you essentially question everything. And if you're going to take horsey paste or ivermectin, that you have no place in medicine, and that you have no place in talking about anything. Aren't these some of these sane peoples? So yeah, peptides, which are chains of amino acids that prompt cells to perform actions. like decreasing inflammation or increasing collagen production. Some peptides have been fully vetted by the FDA, including those like insulin or GLP-1s. However, there's a whole batch of unproven everything out here. BPC 157s and MOTS-C have gained a foothold on social media where users show off their stacks, their combinations of peptides, and they talk all this trash talk, and I'm sure for some people it'll work. I'm sure for some people it'll fucking kill them. I'm just saying, and I understand the right to use, but I guess what it comes to is the right to abuse, whether it's through false information or overuse in some cases, or so different psychoses, I guess you could call it, show up in different ways in different people. Some of them, revolve around, this, health by, better living through chemistry, better living through, some biological and something I can inject in myself. And, there's people that believe that that enhances their life. I'm not so sure, in all honesty. I know one thing, that the mind is stronger than anything that we are around. So, yeah. In New Jersey, that's right, illegal immigrants voting in New Jersey. That's just the truth that nobody wants to say. The governor is blaming the DMV. The DMV is blaming the elections committee. And
elections. What can you tell us about that?
Tony, that's right.
New Jersey's Democratic governor today announced that some non-citizens were indeed able to vote in recent elections. What can you tell us about that?
Alien.
Tony, that's right.
Illegal aliens. Say it. Fucking say it.
Governor Mikey Sherrill revealed about 6,600 non-citizens were accidentally added to New Jersey's voter rolls, and about 400 of them cast improper ballots in recent elections. Sherrill said it was a serious software error in the state's motor vehicle system that led to the mistake. When these people were applying for a driver's license, they answered no when asked if they were U.S. citizens, but they were registered to vote anyway.
Now, I'm sorry, that's not an accident, okay? You don't fill out a digital form, and the digital form, you check the box no, and it essentially defaults to yes, okay? I don't know about you, but I know that that's just horse shite, okay? I know it's just horse shit. You know it's just horse shit. And well, they're gonna use it as this lie in the system, So yeah. Here's Donald Trump, saving Epstein's clients. Imagine that. So I hope y'all are doing well. Let's get back to this stupidity that we have going on here in the United States of America. 1 to 10 inside the 20-year status decline of American passports. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So American passports. Today it's 1/10 of what there used to be 20 years ago. That the number of people that are applying and getting passports has dropped to a phenomenal low, in all honesty. Today, the United States is in the 10th position worldwide. Multiple countries have the same score as a single spot in the standings, but in reality, 36 countries rank ahead of the United States in the I guess, the places that they can go with their passport without any, extra checks and balances and all this other stuff. Okay. And frankly, I think that's good and that's bad. Okay. Because the truth is, you're going to make enemies along the way. If you make enemies along the way, your passport is not going to go or should not go or be, how should we say it, readily accepted by your enemies. If it is, that indicates kind of a problem. Okay. Information about how the cover up of the Jeffrey Epstein files continues is that Bill Gates, when there was a review of Bill Gates and Jeffrey Epstein and all their interactions, all of their business arrangements, and all this other stuff, right? Now, lawyers investigating the Gates Foundation ties find out that they did not have access to Bill Gates's personal communications or review interactions with the billionaire's private office, where two long-time employees had deep ties to the sex offender. Okay. The scope of the probe by lawyers at WimmerHale disclosed in a footnote in the report, disclosed that in a report in a summary that was released a 5-month review, I guess, of the investigation. Okay. The truth is that they really never did look at all of Bill Gates's communications with Jeffrey Epstein. And that would be normal. Okay. Not everybody gets treated like Michael Cohen, where Michael Cohen's complete records of his law practice were seized all the way back to when he was almost out of law school or in law school in some cases. Okay. And millions of documents were taken in, and only, I think only 500 were declared to be, client, attorney-client privilege. And, they don't do that. They don't do that to any of these other people. They don't go after all of their personal emails. They don't go after their burner phones. They don't go after all this stuff. These people essentially get they check the top of the water. They never see what is underneath. And those are the kinds of investigations that we have been getting by the FBI. Of course, now we know beyond a doubt that the FBI and Christopher Wray had been literally committing crimes against the Trump administration. So, yeah. Oh, gee, I'm just surprised. I'm just shocked. Swedish police veteran is warning that the gang violence across the country is being replaced with a push for Islamization. They're that stupid. They're that fucking ignorant. They're that naive. They're that fucking foolish. They're acting as if they're not connecting these two as being, all Islamization. And that's what it really is. That the gang violence is establishing the fucking caliphate. It is establishing Sharia law within a certain zone. Therefore, what follows after that is the Islamization. What they don't want to say, what Sweden, what all of the countries of Europe, what none of them really want to say or admit, is the simple fact that what they called gang violence was just a stage of the Islamization of Sweden. They say tougher laws have curbed shootings in Uppsala, evidently, but parallel societies, clan networks, and Islamist influence remains entrenched. No fucking screaming eagle shit. It is a war of cultural replacement by Islam. The problem isn't that the reality of the world is sitting in front of them. The problem is that they cannot admit that they have essentially done this to themselves by believing that, that diversity, and you really don't have diversity. Okay, let's be honest. They brought Muslims from the fucking several different countries in. I'm sorry, I think Muslims from several different countries in are just the same cockroach that might just come from a different city. It's the unfortunate statistical truth of what we see today. So yeah, it is past being a long-term threat. It is an immediate threat that is working to overthrow the nation. And none of these fucking yahoos, none of them will have none of them have the courage to admit it. Number two, there is no power to expel Muslims out of the fucking countries of Europe. That will be done militarily, or you will essentially lose Europe to Islamic law, Islamic rule, and that the European Union itself will who will it really serve then? That's the real question. The question is, who does it even serve now? And it's frankly, most of the European Union Parliament should be taken out and shot as traitors to their countries. That's the facts that people just, God, you want to say that? Do you? You have to say it. You have to point it out. You have to look and say, what the fuck is wrong with people? Have they lost their ever loving fucking mind? So yeah. Nestle shares plunged the most since the .com bust. I would say, yeah, they probably have, because of the cost of fucking chocolate. So yeah, the food is going down worse than ever. Okay. I'm just saying, it's wow, it's unbelievable how far our societies in the West have fallen. We use the excuse of the Rust Belt in across the Midwest, and across American manufacturing, from Pennsylvania, all the way past Chicago. All the hollowed out steel mills, the hollowed out car factories, and manufacturing plants where Americans used to work. American neighborhoods that used to be clean. Now between the homeless people and the garbage, it's as if nobody has how should I say it? As if nobody has taking responsibility for their own community. I think that's a lot of what big cities deal with, and I don't think people realize the cultural degradation that pushes in when you essentially tell people, look, you can't shovel that sidewalk, you can't shovel this, you can't do that, you can't do this outside the front of your home within the sidewalk and the public space and stuff. And it's sheer madness today, the world that we're living in. And so people don't clean up their own street. People don't go outside and pick up the trash, people don't take their pressure washer and, wash up, their sidewalk in front of their house. Oh God, the fucking city come and give you a fine. There's people that have been plowed streets for cities. And what happens? Oh yeah, they get a fine from the municipality because they had a contractor that was going to do that. Well, the contractor should be happy because, well, it's already done. Yeah. Anyway, so if you're paying attention, there's a movie out called Helen of Troy, and they've taken the young, beautiful Greek woman and replaced her with essentially a Michelle Obama looking Amazon, yeah, African that that is literally just it's crazy. Okay, people will look back in history and see, this is how fucking stupid shit is. People will look back and they will remember pieces of these movies that are made a whole, out of whole fantasy. Okay, out of whole fantasy, and declare them to be real. I guess that's the only way you could think that Africans or Somalis would try to claim, or Muslims would try to claim that they were the first Cherokees here in America. Okay? It'd be like Somalis claiming in Minnesota that they created, that they supported the state and they built the state from what it is. And the truth is that, that 80% of the motherfuckers are on welfare or food stamps or some kind of other government assistance. In fact, the whole fucking clan of the motherfuckers might as well be the modern day fucking gypsies, okay? The modern day bunch of fucking thieving, stealing, scumbag motherfuckers, okay? Hey, all you gypsies, from Austria and Romania and stuff, hey, you're off the hook. Okay? You're no longer, deemed the biggest bunch of grifting, scumbag, thieving motherfuckers that are chased from one place to another, like the Jews, right? Oh, that lays the question. That raises the question. But anyway. So Elon Musk has vowed to make an AI-made Odyssey after blasting Nolan's take on Homer. Anyway, we're seeing these psychological culture wars, and it's sheer madness. The representation of outright racism in most of these fucking efforts to combat one side or the other. Okay. If you don't know by now, then let me say, God help me here, please. DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusiveness, is just the new Jim Crow. It's just the new racism brought in by Democrats who are literally still pandering the fucking Civil War. Every gutless fucking politician in America. I'm calling you a bunch of gutless motherfuckers, including Donald Trump. Okay? I think you all are a bunch of chicken shit bastards for not declaring a worldwide war on slavery. If you want to misdirect, if you want to change the tenor of these world wars, now here's the problem, okay? Here is the danger: is this just gives everybody a green light? Just as Donald Trump essentially has given everybody a green light for what he's doing in fucking Iran. Okay, for what Donald Trump may or may not do in Mali. What Donald Trump may or may not do in Cuba. What he may or may not do or has done already in Venezuela. Okay. None of this is going to pan out well, the way I see it, the way, I believe. Okay. Maybe I'm wrong, and that's okay. But I will, keep an eye on this, on what's going down. Today, the Congress voted, yesterday, I should say, to integrate U.S. military with Israel. That's right. The House of Freedom has joined with the Synagogue of Satan. They have joined and intertwined the militaries. The reason that Israel said, well, we really don't need the weapons of war, but that's because they're integrating Israeli military supply chain, the American military supply chain, the Pentagon with the Mossad and, the IDF, I don't know, can you call it a defense force? I can't. I can't call the Israeli Defense Force a defense force, okay? That's more like Israeli, Capital Murder Incorporated, okay? Capital Murder Incorporated, includes the Mossad motherfuckers, all right? Anyway, I'm just saying, okay? $1.15 trillion defense bill that integrates U.S. military tech and supply chains with Israel. No wonder they said, well, we can just go steal it from you again. The same way that they stole, that highly enriched uranium or those nuclear shot tubes and all this other stuff. Okay. 6 Democrats have voted to throw America away. Meanwhile, it was 210 Republicans voted to enslave America once again, passing the NDAA. I think this is just in the House. I think the Senate has to pass it yet, but I'm not 100% sure, okay? The amendment votes expose the chamber's other fault lines. Eli Crane's proposal to halt all military aid to Ukraine was defeated handily, 350 to 76. Lauren Boebert's attempt to codify the ban on transgender military service failed, 212 to 217. The House nevertheless adopted 2 amendments, one by Nancy Mace, restricting gender-related care through military's TRICARE health system. barring transgender athletes from girls' sports at Defense Department operated schools. I think I think this transgender issue of boys and girls sports, because they say they feel, well, feminine, they feel like a pussy that day. I just wholeheartedly am against it. Okay. There's a reason that these boys that want to win do this. They're driven to win. And, this is another tool that they can use to win. Okay. That's part of it, in my opinion. Okay. Part of it is, well, even if they are transgender, that doesn't mean that they can participate against girls. Girls are, you may not like it, but what I'm going to say, but physically, most of them are inferior. Now, don't get me wrong. I've worked with a couple women that were, I don't want to use the word big boned, but I'm telling you what, those women could work as hard as any man. In fact, I've worked with bony little skinny, flea looking men. Not about you, flea, but you know, um, people that have, an arm the size of, the skinny end of a baseball bat or something. I've worked with all kinds of people, and then some people that are skinny will fool you how they work, but for overall, on the average, men have more denser muscle tone than women. Period. End of story. You don't see women that have become butches. Okay. You don't see those women attempting to run against the best male athletes. You won't see it. I mean, you don't see it, because the simple fact is there is no real physical comparison when girls that pretend to be boys attempt to compete against men, real men. There is no real competition. This is the Achilles heel of this whole girls and boys transgender and sports service, or transgender anything, when it comes to boys and girls mixed in sporting events. Yeah, it's madness. It is. Is true madness. Okay, but to deny it, to deny 50% of this physical equation of boys and girls and transgenderism, to deny 50% of it is to lie to yourself and to lie to the public that, hey, it just doesn't hold water, what they're doing and what they're saying. I'm just pointing that out. Okay. Maybe that's part of the, why we gotta fix the trainee stuff, for the Israeli military, because they're, Israel's supposed to be, one of the most sexually freakdom nations in the world. They're supposed to make San Francisco and Key West, Florida, look like conservative, Mormon states. Mormon households. You get up, you kneel and pray to the Bible, then you go and you brush your teeth and you stop at the toilet, and as you sit on the toilet in the morning, you read your scripture. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah. Anyway, I'm sure it might have to be that way if you integrate yourself into an Islamic neighborhood, because playing Highway to Hell on your loudspeakers outside every day at a certain time, has to be the rule of the day. Brit Card is dead. Burnham kills Starmer's 1.8 billion digital ID to pay for an energy tax cut. A tax cut. Oh my. Yeah, hey, yeah, that's what we need, a tax cut. Hey, why don't you cut the fucking tax? Why do I mean, what the fuck is wrong with people? What the hell? And, remember, people that are attempting to control society will literally make you pay more to do something for the privilege of doing something, because then that's a tax. It's amount of control. And today, everything is controlled. Okay. Oh, you got to have a license to do something. Hell, some places you got to have a license even to walk down the street, or an ID, or some people command that if you're in the street with a camera or a phone shooting a video, they demand that you be a journalist of some kind, or they get offended because you're literally videotaping in public. Meanwhile, flock cameras are, how should we say it, are continuing their spread, and the deep state is continuing its surveillance state, and literally, using all these things as, well, an excuse to do it. Okay. Abandoned Navy base is costing the U.S. taxpayers $340,000 a year just for internet that literally nobody uses. Okay. In Adak, Alaska, once a home of 5,000 Navy sailors and their families. After 40 years as a supply depot, the Naval Air Facility at Adak closed in 1997, leaving scores of homes and buildings. And some are empty, some people are still living there, and but the U.S. military still maintains internet access for all of them. The U.S. government pays an Anchorage firm $340,000 a year to maintain internet access to 300 odd former Navy buildings in Adak. They say they're empty. Some are collapsing. They become these, some, I mean, can you just move in and take them the way they did out in Slab City? I don't know. But if you're looking for a secluded space that might have a space, that might be it, huh? So anyway, nobody knows what they're going to do, or who's going to clean it up, or what's going to go down. So, you could be in for a federal contract if you think about it. Iran strikes on CIA facilities in the Gulf. Prompt questions about Russian role in the targeting. Okay. Gee, the U.S. and the CIA, and after all we've done to facilitate the murder of Russians by Ukraine, we're going to complain. They're going to say that. Okay. That's okay. The truth is, most people know about the CIA facilities in Jordan, okay, and that that the Al Tarif zone there is basically a 50 square mile base that the Americans maintain. And that includes listening posts, spy drone operations, military aircraft flying in and out. I'm sure there are armories. Yeah, I'm sure it's a full forward active military base, forward operating base there. Self-sufficient, I would imagine. So, I would imagine that the Iranians would strike it. Okay. Are we supposed to be surprised? I'm not. I'm just saying. Alphabet Company quadruples its profits from fueled by AI to $112 billion. Meanwhile, they're claiming that AI, really facilitated this. So, I pointed out, this AI tokens and this ability to get into and essentially use the AI systems, okay, whether you're paying a flat rate or whatever, a lot of people are paying, block tokens of data information and brain power, basically, from these AI centers. And it is honestly, it's just like the beginning of the cell phone boom, right? When they charge you for the minutes and they jack the shit out of you for 200 minutes a month, right? And then you got text messaging and you were paying for text messaging extra. And then all of a sudden minutes became free, but text messages cost. In some places, phone was costing and messages were free. And then, of course, came video, and video came data and download data. And where people, kids and people were downloading, on their cell phones, movies. And it'd be $600 and $700 fucking dollars because of the data transfer rate. They're doing the same thing. This monetization of AI, because of the cost of the tokens, the number of tokens, and everything else that you're going to need, it's literally just this. It's really just another commercialized scam on people and individuals. Okay, it's the newest, greatest, bilking of people for something they don't even realize yet they can really have for free. I'm just saying. Trump vows he will destroy a bridge or power plant for every attack on shipping in the Straits of Hormuz. Now, I don't know if this counts for the Houthis or not, because they blew up too this week. That's remember, remember the other piece of this operational field that you're dealing with here. The number of tankers that can legitimately carry oil around the world, the size of those tankers, a little 5,000 barrel tanker, compared to, one super tanker that's carrying 700,000-800,000 barrels, right? I think, I don't know what the max capacity of a super tanker. Let's check. Capacity is the word I was looking for, huh? Now, why not? Super tankers carry between 2 and 3 million barrels of crude oil. So, yeah, these are ultra large crude carriers. So if you're carrying, there are some that with a dead weight of 120 deadweight thousand tons carry up to 70,000 to 340,000 barrels of oil. They remember a lot of this determines in what port this ship can pull into. But because we use so much oil, and because that's the reason pipelines are used, okay, to pump large amounts of oil over distance, because literally 5,000 barrels in a small tanker really isn't that much in the end. But it may be the only size tanker that can get in the port or to the facilities to unload. let alone load. So, yeah. Well, bad news for Democrats. I think it's bad news. Other people are probably, jumping up and down in joy. But right now, for the 2028 presidential race, the leading Democrat has jumped out to a strong lead early in the presidential poll, is Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Julie the fucking bartender. Remember, she claims to be one of those Democrat socialists of America, okay? I think most people are voting for her because they either want to lick her pussy or get in her pants, okay? Just saying, okay? But anyway, Kamala Harris, Kamala Harris literally became a political power, by giving blowjobs to her boss in San Francisco, okay? And Sacramento, all right? So people should wake up exactly, what the hell we got going on here, okay? According to the data, Ocasio-Cortez leads the pack with 22%, followed closely by America's breastfeeding transportation secretary, Pete Buttigieg. Sorry. And yeah. So meanwhile, Gavin Newsom had 5% support. Senator Kelly and Bernie Sanders trailed with less than 10% each. Okay. So yeah, Harris scored only 5%. Okay. Yeah, 10% for Newsom, Kelly, and Bernie Sanders. Those are the kind of the straw polls. Those must be the cocaine and methamphetamine snorting straws of the Democrat Socialists of America. Yeah. Meanwhile, on the Republican side, J.D. Vance leads the pack, followed by Marco with 26%. And all GOP candidates scored bump. Let's see. Rand Paul garnered 8%. So Vance and Rubio were essentially leading the pack. But, a Democrat who did not rank in the poll was John Ossoff, who has been the top fundraiser in the Senate. The top fundraiser means, well, the biggest whore that's for sale. Is that how that works? I'm just asking for my friend, because my friend said, what the fuck is that, Forrest? I said, I don't know. I'm afraid to look. Oil prices leap. The Pentagon surges forces. A so-called new front on the war, of course, in the Red Sea. In fact, I didn't do it yesterday. I was going to fill the car up with gas. I'm down to a quarter tank. So, I keep at least a half a tank in all the vehicles here, and usually try to keep it up near the top because, well, you never know when these fucking clowns are going to really blow the top of all this shit, okay? Foreclosure crisis in America. That's right. Right now, there is a foreclosure crisis in America. You may not know it. You may not have heard about it, but it really is, okay? The other part of that is that right now it's a really bad time to buy a house because interest rates are near all-time I should say, recent time highs. I hate to say recent time because, if you remember back into the 1980s, back in the 70s and 80s, when, Jimmy Carter was president, excuse me. when Jimmy Carter was president. And, we were literally, Richard Nixon was impeached. Gerald Ford, I guess, became president. And, Jimmy Carter came after that. We ended these price freezes that had been put on the economy. And when those price controls ended, the inflation was fucking horrendous. They jacked the fucking prime rate up to like 12 or 13%. These people are fucking freaking out because, oh my God, it's been 5 or 6 years. It's the interest rate has been over 5% for houses and stuff. And, and the truth is that if we aren't going to go back to that. They can't go back to that. Okay. Just because the economy, the prices in the economy, and the bubbles that these fucking clowns have created are creating the greatest depression of all time. Okay. I really love Gerald Celente. I listen to what he says. I watch the trends, and a lot of times, what you have to do is not to listen to the exact thing that people are saying, word for word. This is this, and this is going to happen. But they give you ideas of how to look at and analyze stuff yourself. And as Gerald Celente said, it's a trend. It's all headed that direction. I hate to say it, but we're headed all towards nuclear war with Russia. There is no off ramp. There is no check and balance in our government. Our government is bought and sold by the war whores. So we'll be back tomorrow, Rev Radio. We'll see you then. And remember that you do change the world every day. God bless you. God bless you all. So let's see. Okay, we checked out of Revolution Radio. So be aware of everything that's going on. And I just upped the size of the loan I wanted to get for a house, I keep an eye on the market. So I'm going to find me a foreclosure. That's a hell of a deal. And I'm going to close on it and be done with it. And hopefully I'll have 6 or 8 different bedrooms in the house. And, anyway, you know how that works out. People come and friends stay and everything else. Life moves on. So anyway, remember, that you guys are on the front edge of this world that we're living in. That you're reaching out and trying to find information and get points of view that, and the reason you do, because you're like me. You've been there. You've listened to ABC, NBC, CBS. You've laughed too at CNN. Okay, you've watched the MK Ultra media bend the brain of people, and people actually are now committing violence. They're committing acts. Against peoples and individuals and ideas. And the culture has changed. Those that say our government doesn't run counter political operations against we the people are wrong. And that our government is more illegitimate today than it is legitimate. I wish I didn't have to say that. I wish I didn't have to point it out. But Donald Trump is just like my poor local politicians here in Franklin County, Virginia. They don't know it. They don't realize it. our local county board of supervisors, and neither does Donald Trump. They don't know that they've been groomed. They don't know that they've been fed a certain set of information, so you end up with a fucking result of a certain thing. Meetings, briefings, and memos. The grooming by government, for government, against we the people. That's the world that we live in today. This repetitive, socialized brainwashing, it must stop, or we must revolt. Take care, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow. God bless. Good day. And good luck. God bless you guys.